Hi everybody and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all having a lovely weekend. As you can see from the title of the video, I am going to be discussing what college was like as an undiagnosed autistic woman. And basically I'm just going to rant about it, ramble, no coherentness, as you know from the first time I put a video up of this, letting you all know that I have autism. And I thought it'd be fun just to talk about what each part of my life was like. And I did mention that somewhere in the video from before. If you haven't watched that, I'll link it up just now. So basically, I went to college in 2010 and I was studying at the time vet nursing, and I wanted to be obviously a vet nurse. And I was all excited to go. This is something I wanted to do, and I was like, this is going to be great. And I had all this obviously planned out, as no, everyone's like that when they're wanting to go to college, aren't they? So they just start afresh kind of thing. So I remember going, and it was in Edinburgh. There was like 2 buses for me to get there, and I remember going in, and it was so like huge, and obviously it's all brand new people, everything like that. And I just remember going to the hall bit, kind of like the canteen essentially, and it had like big boards up to say like what section is which. So you had like at the bottom was like drama, art, you know, for hairdressing, chefs, all that kind of stuff. So you would go sit at the table. I didn't get that at first. I just kind of just sat anywhere, and I was like, okay, I'll just sit here, this is fine. And then everyone started like piling in and stuff like that. I made sure I got there mega early. And then it wasn't until I realised the folk that were in where I was sitting were all getting called to like, oh, if you're here for hairdressing and beauty, or you're here for drama, that kind of stuff, like calling out the courses, and everyone was leaving and I was still sitting there. And I noticed at the bottom there was these people there, and they were on the last ones, and I'm like, I think that's my table. And I went and got up and went and sat with them. And bear in mind, this was like 2010, so I'm trying to remember everything. And then we went to the classroom, which was kind of this, you had to go outside from the hall and like kind of walk outside to the other building. And that's where our one was, in like a sciencey kind of area. So we went in the class. We didn't actually have tables. We had like chairs, and it had like a little table attached round. It was a really tiny table. And it was just kind of like everyone get to know each other kind of thing. And I hate that shit. It's all right now. I'm much better now. But see, back then, I was 17. I didn't want to talk to anyone, like anybody, because I'm like, I don't know who you are. Like, I don't know. Like, leave me alone, kind of thing. We were like having like an introduction kind of day, and I was like, okay, this is fine. And I can't really remember most of what happened for the first day, but after that I just started feeling like this is not where I want to be. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be in college or anything like that, because after classes I never really talked to anybody that was there. I would get out of the class and I would go to sit in the lunch canteen bit, and I would read my book, and I'd listen to my iPod, and that's all I would do. And I would just sit there by myself. I didn't want to go, everyone else would go to the table, and I felt like I can't go and talk to anybody because I'm not being invited over, and I'm not embarrassing myself to go and sit with these like folk that I didn't ken and get embarrassed. So I would sit and do that for a little bit. I didn't eat either, by the way. I never ate when I was at college. I did not have anything to eat because I felt too nervous and too embarrassed to eat in front of anybody. Don't recommend that. That's not a good idea. This is how I felt at the time. So, or I would go outside after a little bit and go for a cigarette, and I just would smoke and have my iPod in all the time, listen to music, and I would just kind of sit and wait until the next class to be on. And most of the stuff we were learning was all theory work, so there wasn't a lot of practice kind of thing. And it just got to me, it was just so boring of just sitting like writing off a board and stuff like that. And we had these giant textbooks and giant vet nursing dictionaries that we had to bring in with us, and I didn't drive, so I had to take public transport, and hoofing that back to college every week was so exhausting and so sore on your back and everything, like on my bag. And it was such a annoyance trying to like fit all this on my desk, and it's like, oh my god, this actually sucks. Like I was just debating to myself, like, what am I doing here? Like, why am I here? And I remember always asking one of the girls, I mentioned this in my last video, I always asked, like, can I come and sit with yous? Because at one point when I was sitting in the canteen by myself, she got up and one of the girls came over and she's like, do you want to sit with us, or do you want to sit like reading your book? And I wanted to sit reading my book, but I didn't want to like not get involved. So I came and sat down, said nothing. I didn't like talk or anything like that. I just kind of like sat and kind of listened, kind of was in my own head and just essentially looking like I was part of something. It was better when I was like one-on-one talking to people, like, and that was fine, but I just didn't know how to get out of the introductory part. So like everybody was starting to know each other, so that was like easy part of like, oh, there was like 15 other people in the class, so if you're talking one-on-one, it's like, oh, what's your name again? Oh, my name's blah 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 blah, and then that would be fine. But it was just didn't know how to talk and have a conversation really. And it's weird to think about it now because I'm much better now, but I'll go into that and we'll get to that point. So a lot of the time when it came to college, I started just skiving. I didn't go, I didn't bother. I would literally just go in, sign in sometimes. I'd sign in and then go and grab the bus and get like an hour and a half bus back home, because I just wanted to sit on the bus, listen to music and ignore everybody. I didn't want to talk to anyone at all. It was just, to me, it was just like, I don't want to do anything here. I don't want to study. I don't want to do anything like this. This is horrible. And I just thought I was being lazy. I was just, like all that kind of stuff. And then I did actually obviously get told off for it. I was like getting asked by my lecturers and stuff like, why are you not attending? And I just used any excuse I could think of, like, oh, family problems and stuff like that, which were happening, but I was just using it as an excuse. I never said like, I hate this course. If I could go back in time and say what I know now and tell them like, I need support, I don't understand what's going on, and even if I got that, I still would be saying as well, this is not the right course for me, and I should have just not bothered. Because there was times, it was actually pretty funny, my friend, she was elsewhere, she wasn't in Edinburgh, she was elsewhere doing her course at college, she was a different college, and we just meet up because she hated her one as well, so we just meet up on the train. And then she'd come and we went to go see Paranormal Activity 2, the pictures, and that was a fun day. Or I would just go to Costa in the morning, wait until my dad's girlfriend at the time went to work, so I knew when she would go to work, so I'd come home and just go home, and then no one was else in the house, so I would just sit by myself and just do my own thing. And looking back now, essentially it was just like, it was anxiety to hell, but obviously I was undiagnosed at the time, so I'm in a new environment, I'm in a new people, and I don't know anybody. The course I'm on, I don't know how to explain that I'm like struggling. I was struggling so much. We had to do this terminology for like the words and stuff like that. And when I was there, we were told like, you have to make sure you've written it down properly, and I can't spell for shit. I really struggle with spelling. So when we had to write down the terminology of, say, for like a disease or a medicine or something like that for the animals, we had to make sure it was written properly, because if it wasn't, it could be bad and it could be diagnosed something else if it was written wrong, for example, if that makes any sense. So that was like hard, and I used to Skype that class a lot because what I didn't like about it, the desks were too small, so putting my dictionary on the table with my worksheet and trying to use it, I hated that class. And that was one of the reasons, as stupid as that sounds, that was the reason I'm like, I can't work in this class. Where is the desk? This makes no sense. So one of the times we actually had the dogs in the class, it was one of the lecturer's dogs, and that was great because we just pet the dog. I liked that class. And that was like, it wasn't even a class, it was just the dog was there on that day, and I was like, yeah, this is nice. The dog's here. So yeah, it was just very like, I just, I didn't like the environment, so I started like going to this placement. We had a placement, and it was on a Thursday and Friday, and we had to go to an actual veterinary clinic where we could like observe everything and stuff like that. And you got to see operations. So I've seen like operations done. So I've seen like cat and dogs being like neutered and stuff, and their teeth getting done. I saw that. It was very interesting, but like I did not like the vet that was there. She was really hard to talk to. She wasn't very friendly. And I remember like there was literally nowhere for me to be. I felt like such in the way all of the time. And I remember like I felt like honestly when I look back on it, I just think like not bullying, because I never said anything. It was just their way they went about things. You just can let me know in the comments if you like feel this, like if that was that or anything. But I would go in and I would dump my stuff, put myself and things like that down, and the vet would have all the operations in the back room. In order to go for the back, you had to like punch in the numbers on the door because it was a lockable thing, so you know only staff could get through. And she would take the nurses, she would have like a little meeting with them, and she knew why I was there. Like it wasn't like I just showed up randomly. She knew I was there, and my college like got involved and stuff like that. And they would go up and not say a word to me, and I felt like I was rude if I was to say anything. So I kind of sat there. I remember sitting there for 20 minutes, and they'd buggered off up the back to the operation bit, and I was sitting there like, am I supposed to go? Like in my head I'm scripting like, do I go and say something? Shall I talk to someone? And there was an admin person, and she was nice, and I said to her like, shall I go up the back, because I don't know what to do? And she's like, yeah, like on you go. And then she's like, and the number's this, and the number was like really like to punch them in was kind of small, so I'm sitting there like trying to punch it in, and she's watching me from the back, and I'm like, oh my god, like punch it in properly. And you know when someone's watching you while you're doing something, and it's the worst feeling. It was like that. And I went up and I just felt in the way. Like they were trying to get stuff sorted, and they would be like, oh yeah, can you move out the way and stuff like that to me. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. So there was like a little room for the operation room, and the vet would be operating on the animal, and the two nurses would be, one would be reading it's like the breathing stuff, like the respiratory, kind of writing down numbers, and the other one was like, I think she was assisting. I think she was assisting. And I'm standing in the doorway because there's literally nowhere for me to be. So essentially, I'm blocking the vet trying to get in and out, but there was nowhere for me to go. And she's like, can you move like that to me? And I'm like, I'm sorry, I just don't know what to do. And I started getting like really unwell. I would really get migraines. I would end up feeling sick. I'm very bad travel sick anyway, so that took a toll on me. And I would always have like a sore stomach, and I'd feel pukey. Looking back now, it was due to like how much stress I was under in this situation with obviously being undiagnosed. I'd like looked up some stuff, and that you can end up having like really bad tummy trouble and stuff like that, and that's how I was in exams at school. I'll do another video talking about school in a different topic. And it was just really, really hard. And if I was to be in that situation again, I wouldn't do vet nursing. I would not do it. I couldn't handle the pressure, the panicking. A lot of the time when I did get talking to the nurses and stuff like that, I just wanted to chat about like anything, just get to know them as people and talk to them, because I wasn't sure how to ask questions about the information I was wanting to know about for the nursing. Because if you're telling me something I'm not knowing of this information, you might have to tell me a few times. I didn't know what their patience was like, if that makes any sense. So it was just like, I'll not talk about that at all. Let's talk about something completely different instead. I got to like help with like an injection of a dog like in its neck, and that was, oh my god, that was so frightening. It was so scary. There was other like moments where it was very sad. I had to help a rabbit was getting put to sleep, and I had to hold the rabbit, and I felt it pass away. I'm sorry for anyone that's upset from that. So that was like really, really difficult. I just felt at the time like, okay, I don't think this field of animal work is right for me, because it's too much pressure, it's too much for me. And I ended up, see for like doing the operations, like I would do the cleaning, and that didn't bother me. It just gave me something to do. And then afterwards, it'd be after lunch, and none of them talked to me. I kind of just sat by myself, and I felt so isolated in this room with all these other people. And it just felt like I'm a spare plank, and like this spare part that does not need to be there. And I just ended up sitting, essentially writing shite in my workbook. I actually ended up writing a story. That's how bad it was, and I should not have been in that situation. And then ended up skiving that a lot. I just would say I'm not bother showing up at one point. And I ended up, I think I did my last exam. I think I did my exam, and I just kept waiting to go to the pub. I was just kept looking at my watch, and I'm like, I can't do this. And I was getting like written up from we had like a guidance support person, and saying like, oh, you haven't made college, is everything okay, and stuff like that. And I didn't know what the hell to say. I just felt like I'm just lazy, stupid, like, I just can't be arse kind of attitudes and stuff like that. And the reality was I was struggling to hell, and I was not on the right course for myself, and I shouldn't have done that course. If I was to go back to college ever, I would do something like drama or something like that, or something interesting like to me now. And but doing that was so difficult, and it was a shame because a lot of my work experience stuff growing up was all to do with animals. But now I understand that if I was to do something like that, or if I was back in the time, it would be working in a kennel. I worked in a kennel, and that was actually like pretty decent, like just taking the dogs for a walk, cleaning out their cages, that kind of thing. I did it in the farm as well, and that was fun because I just had to clean them out, and their living area for the animals. I didn't have to worry about keeping this very pressurized kind of environment, which was not suited for me. And that's okay, because not everyone can do that kind of thing. But the whole college experience, especially 17 years old, out in the open world and stuff like that, was really difficult. And the funny thing is, when I left college, and I was the only person in my class who did not put their hand up saying they're going to do the next year. And because everyone put their hand up saying, like, the lecturers were like, oh, who's going to be going back next year? And everyone raised their hand, and I'm just sitting there like, no, I am not coming back. And then I literally got taken out the class and asked why. Not in front of anybody. I got taken out and said, so why are you not coming back? And I said, oh, I'm going to do a gap year, which has lasted since, how many years? Twice, 16 years. I never went fucking back. And I'm just like, no, I'm not coming back, nah. And I ended up just working in a pub, and that was like the best thing ever. I just worked behind the bar, and I got so much confidence from that, and actually opened up and things, and actually helped a lot, especially for like before I was just not talking to anybody, and then ended up really coming out my shell. And I think that's okay. The reason I'm saying like this, right, is I know sometimes like, oh, if you need to go to college and get education and stuff like that. And yeah, some people it can help, and other people, no, it doesn't help. And some people just go and get themselves a job, and that's okay. Whatever you feel you need to do. But I honest to God, I would like bully myself in my head thinking like, oh, I'm so stupid that I couldn't do college or anything like that or whatever. And, I got my experience from working with like in the bar, having better communication and social skills there than I did in college. And I remember I got asked, like, I just felt awkward. That's the word I'm looking for. I felt awkward all the time when I was there, all the time. And I was saying in the last video, the girl, we had this like test thing, and we had to, afterwards we were like told to like, let's go for lunch and then have your classes later. And I asked her, because I always ask her, can I sit with you at lunch, is that okay? Because I felt like I was not part of the group. That's how I felt. And she got annoyed at one point and said to me like, you don't have to keep asking, it's kind of weird. And it's like, okay, fine, I'll not bother ever asking, I'll not bother ever like sitting with you again. and I know it sounds like that sounds kind of petty, and it's not. It's just more like I need to know like if that's all right, because I don't want to invite myself, embarrass myself, annoy yous or anything. So I need to literally say like, oh, we're going to like hang out now, and it wasn't the only one that actually like the thing is I should have just left early, but I kept going thinking it was going to get better some reason. But there was other people in my class who actually didn't continue, so they actually left halfway through the year or something. I think there was three of them that did. Don't know why. Didn't really know them anyway, so I have no clue. But yeah, it just sucks because I had no one to like talk to or whatever like that, and yeah, I just didn't enjoy it. Probably if I was to go back to college now, totally different experience. But when, well, maybe, but when I was 17 and didn't know like why am I struggling here, what is going on, and the thing is as well, it wasn't just at college. I felt it in my 6th year at school, where I just felt so out of place, and I didn't get this. This is sucky. Like it was awful, and I'm so thankful now to know like, okay, it wasn't in your head. You were struggling, sure, but this is the reason why, and it makes life so much easier. And basically, the person that got thanked for that is my partner. Like, he's the one that helped me and said to me like, I think that you're autistic. We need to like look into this and stuff. And he was right. And it was so helpful because now it's like, you're not, there's nothing wrong. There is, how to say this, you're struggling, but there's reasons why you're struggling. Essentially, you're not lazy, you're not stupid. It's just why, and you just need to have like, really in this situation, I need to tell myself this is have more what's the word I'm looking for? Just be more kind to yourself. Essentially, that you can do things. It's just it might take you a little bit longer, and that's okay. And I think that's something that we all need to like think to ourselves and stuff like that too, because when I look back and I think on this has actually been in my mind since I did another video talking about my diagnosis, rambling about my diagnosis rather than talking about it, I don't know. But it's been on my mind thinking like, I want to share my experience at college because somebody else out there might be feeling like they're in the same boat and everything. And my advice for that would be is talk to your like support person who's at your college, like a guidance support worker or something like that, or your lecturer or something like that, and just explain to them, look, I'm really struggling here because I don't understand, or something like that. If you can speak to your parents or a friend, somebody, anyone you can talk to, and then get the help you need, because it's better than just wallowing it and feeling alone and isolated. And if you do, and also, if you ever have a placement and you went through my experience, go tell your lecturer and ask them to move you somewhere else. And that's what I should have done. I should have asked for another placement somewhere else and not just stayed there. Don't be frightened. I know it's scary, but if I could like tell myself, that's one thing I would have said. Even if I'd stuck it out, I would have said, just go to a different placement and then it'll be better, because that was an awful experience and no one shouldn't have to like be feeling like that, like isolated away. And the funny thing is, there was other people, and even went out for a smoke with two of them outside having a cigarette, and they just ignored me. It was just kind of like, oh, what's she doing here kind of feeling. And I'm like, oh my god, I want to go home. Oh yeah, before I forget actually, sorry, another thing I just remembered, when I was at that placement, the vet asked me to go to the bank for her, or the bank or the post office, it was something like that, and she asked me to close an account. So I was like, okay. So I went, and when I went in, the person behind the till thing, and I said, oh, my boss has asked if she could, my boss has asked if I could close an account for her, and I gave her the thing, and she was looking at it, and she's like, oh, there's actually two accounts here. Do you know what one she wants deleted? And I was like, I don't know. And I was like, oh, what do I do? And that person was the only kind person in that environment, if you will, of being in that area, in that town, to help me. And she said, go back to your boss and just ask them and then come back, and then that way you're not going to the wrong, delete the wrong account. I'm like, that makes sense. So I went back and I said to my boss, like, she's like to me, have you done it? And I said, no, there's 2 accounts and I wasn't sure which one to delete, so I just wanted to come back and ask you which one. And she went, just delete one of them. It doesn't matter. And I'm like, fuck you in my head. Fuck you. How the hell am I supposed to know? It's not my job. It's not my account. It's your account. And it just kind of felt like, get out of my way. I want you out of this place now and go and do something else because you're under my feet. That kind of feeling. And I'm like, all right, okay. And obviously I'm 17. I'm not going to, like, 17, 18. I'm not going to send him back to her. I'm just going to go do what I need to do. And I just wanted to cry. And I remember coming back. I don't think I cried or anything like that, but I did feel shit. I would come back on the bus and I'm like, I don't want to be there. And I would think of any excuse under the sun. I just don't want to go there. I don't want to be there or anything. It was horrible. And the only person who was actually kind there was another vet, and she was, oh God, I don't remember her name or anything like that, but she was really nice. And she was only there like twice a week, but she actually gave a shit of what I was up to, because she was looking, and I was reading my textbook, and she's like, oh, so what is it you're learning just now? And I was like, try to remember, because I skipped so many classes. I'm like, and then would say whatever, and she actually was interested in what I was doing. She was the only one that really took a shine and actually asked me. The nurses would speak to me, but I feel like it was more like tolerate than actually engage with me, if that makes any sense. So yeah, college sucks. I wouldn't go and do that kind of thing again. And if I was to ever do college, and the advice I would give is pick a course that makes sense for you and what you feel like doing. And if it's not agreeing with you, then don't do it. And if college is not for you, then don't go. Just go do something else with whatever you feel like doing, because it's not worth the mental health problems, like in a sense, like feeling shit or anything like that, because it's just not worth it. But that is the end of my little rant about what college was like. It sucked. Basically, underline, it sucked. I hated the experience being that age, and now that I know what I can do, what I can like feel like I'm able to do and all that kind of stuff, then it would be easier. But yeah, oh yeah, it was noisy. That sucked. That's why I had my iPod in all the time. I was just listening to Bon Jovi all the time. It was great. And I would just go outside and have a smoke and listen to Bon Jovi and have my cigarette, and I was like, yay. And then I would just get off the bench and fuck off on the bus and then go home, and that was great. But yeah. Anyway, this is the end of the video. I hope you all enjoyed listening to me ranting about how college sucks for somebody that is undiagnosed at the time, and now is diagnosed and looks back and thinks, that's why. Makes sense. Anyway, if you have similar experiences, let me know in the comments below. If you'd like to share your, like, what is like for yourself in situations like that, let me know as well. Please remember to give a like if you enjoyed it, and if you haven't subscribed already, please feel free to do so. I do a lot of these kind of videos now of this like chatting away and gameplay. The last video I just did was Class of 09. If you've not seen it, I'll just put it down just here so you can check it out. But I will catch you all in the next one, guys. Hope you all have a really nice weekend. Whatever you're going to get up to, enjoy yourselves, and I'll catch you next time. Bye bye.